Hey there, South Mississippi. Chief Meteorologist Eric Jeansonne here with a quick weather update. We're tracking a couple of thunderstorms this evening, mainly over Stone County, so around Wiggins, around Ramsey Springs, along Highway 26 north of Perkinston. We're seeing, you're maybe hearing some rumbles of thunder or maybe getting some heavy downpours with these storms. Even around Bendale now over into George County, we're starting to see some of these storms building a little bit further off towards the east. These are trying to work their way south, but now that we've lost the daytime heating, it will be difficult for them to hold together. But can't rule out maybe some additional thunderstorms trying to fire off along the outflow boundary of this, maybe further south into Harrison or Jackson County over the next couple of hours or so. So something we'll keep an eye on. Rain chances are pretty low tonight, but they're not zero, thanks to some of these scattered showers around. Look outside now on the Hancock Whitney Bank Tower Cam at Gulfport. It's a little muggy out there, 80 degrees. Feels like 86 when you factor in the humidity. And tomorrow is going to be very similar to today. We're going to see another day with coastal showers and thunderstorms out over the water to begin the morning. And then as we work our way into the afternoon, hit and miss showers and storms will be possible, with temperatures climbing into the upper 80s, close to 90 degrees. Now, where we don't see any of those storms, it's going to be hot. We're going to see those heat index values jump into the 105 degree range. So here's what it looks like on Futurecast. And notice Futurecast kind of painting a morning similar to what we had this morning with coastal showers and thunderstorms out over the water. So don't get caught off guard by that, especially if you have plans ahead over the Sound or offshore this tomorrow morning. And then notice as we go throughout the day tomorrow, off and on scattered showers and thunderstorms will be possible. Not everybody's going to get a storm. Not everybody's going to get the heavy rain. That's just the nature of these storms this time of the year. Forecast over the Sound, again, we're starting off with northeast winds in the morning, becoming southeast, pretty light, about 5 to 10 knots. Tomorrow, if you're heading offshore, maybe about 30, 40 miles offshore, we're looking at northeast winds about 5 to 10 knots. But anytime you have storms around, the winds, of course, are going to be a little bit more variable around those gust fronts and outflow boundaries. Water temperatures, Point Cadet coming in at 87 degrees this evening, and overall water temperatures are generally in the upper 80s. We did have some 90s on the map earlier this week, but a lot of the rain and unsettled weather has kind of helped cool off the water just a little bit. Quick update on the tropics. There are no imminent concerns for the Gulf right now. We're watching Dexter, of course, spinning in the northern Atlantic. Off the east coast, there's an area of low pressure that could form and develop into a tropical system. If it did, it's not a threat to the Gulf Coast here in South Mississippi. We are watching a tropical wave that is off the coast of Africa, and it has been designated as Invest 96L by the National Hurricane Center. It's moving to the west-northwest at about 13 miles per hour as of the last update around 7 o'clock this evening. Right now, this is not in the most favorable environment for development. But once it moves into the area that's highlighted in orange, that's where the environmental conditions may become a little bit more favorable for tropical development. And there is a little bit of model support for this. I'll show you that on Futurecast in just a second. But one of the limiting factors right now, there's a ton of dry air out in the Atlantic, and that little tropical wave, it's got to overcome a lot of dry air. So that for now is going to keep any type of development relatively slow to occur, very gradual. Not to mention there's a lot of wind shear. Now looking at Futurecast, and again what we're looking at here is the low-level atmospheric spin, or the low-level counterclockwise swirl associated with tropical waves. And essentially this product on Futurecast kind of shows you the steering currents and where that energy may propagate. It doesn't tell you how strong or how organized it's going to be, but it helps us kind of get the idea of where that tropical wave is going to be tracking across the Atlantic. And I'm going to advance this out all the way to 7 days from now, and you'll notice that that energy with that tropical wave moves off towards the west. And eventually, depending on how strong that ridge of high pressure where that big H is over the central Atlantic, if that's a little bit stronger, that could nudge that further west. If the ridge kind of weakens on the western end of that ridge, then that could allow it to start to curve off towards the north. Either way, it's still too early to say exactly how organized this tropical wave could become. And there are hints that there are other tropical waves down the road that we'll have to keep an eye on. You know, it's just a little too early to say exactly if we get impacts from this in the U.S. in general, but you know, we're getting into the peak of hurricane season. We're going to watch all those tropical waves just a little bit closer now that we're getting into August, September, and into the first half of October. 7-day forecast here in South Mississippi, the more of the same hit and miss showers and storms. Some of them could be heavy at times, hot and humid, and that pattern will just continue for, well, the foreseeable future.